So, we made a guide about full-stack web development frameworks and another one about cross-platform mobile development frameworks. But with all the data accumulating now in your application, you get to a point where saving data externally and sharing it between users becomes a necessity. So you need to use online databases, and it's quite the complicated stuff. So, what are databases? According to Wikipedia, because I can't explain anything by myself, it's an organized collection of data generally stored and accessed electronically from a computer system. Often people use database management systems or software to interact with the database. In the 1980s, relational databases were very dominant because of them using a series of tables, which seemed easier at that time. Most of these used SQL for writing data queries. In the 2000s, non-relational databases became a thing, and they were referred to as NoSQL because they don't use SQL as their query language. So, from this short history, we know that there are two main types or two main database types: SQL, mostly relational databases, or NoSQL and non-relational databases. Some of the words that I will say will be explained later in the video. Let's start with the relational databases. This approach forces the user to have what I like to call static classes. They're not called that, but it basically means they are structured of only primitive types like integers, floats, doubles, and strings, and having a special attribute, mainly its ID, on each class to refer to the other class. And that's where the relational part in the title comes from, because of the attribute that creates the relation between these classes. And there are multiple types of relations, three types of relations: one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. So the first one, let's explain them with some examples. The first one is a blog, where one-to-many relationship is very easy to understand and to get. A user can write multiple posts, but a post can only have one owner, which is a one-to-many, user to many posts. And a blog post can have multiple comments, but a comment can have only one post where it was commented on. Our second example is a task list, where a user can be assigned to multiple tasks, and each task can have multiple people doing it. This is a many-to-many relationship. The last one is a one-to-one relationship, which is not really that useful as we can easily put all the attributes in one class or model, and which will be explained later. I'll put a link below if you want to learn more about these three types. Relational databases are good because they are sometimes cheaper than non-relational databases, and if the database is really huge, they can be faster as well. Now to our second type, non-relational databases, or what I prefer to call them, document-oriented database. As we saw in the previous type, each table has a fixed structure, but these do not. These store data in a document, in a document type, which doesn't have any restrictions on its structure, so you can technically put different models inside one collection. So basically, NoSQL databases group data into collections. The document in these databases looks something like this. Each document has multiple keys and key values. Some values can be lists or arrays, and that's the big difference between the two types. One can store complex data easily, and one you have to do some relational mapping, which is basically creating relations between tables. The pricing for these kind of databases can be very high sometimes, and the speed of obtaining the data can be slower, depending on which database you choose. If you want to learn more, I'll put a very good Pluralsight blog post where they go into more details. Finally, if you have decided what you want to use, then here are options you might consider. For SQL databases, Oracle is a classic option, and it's trusted by so many websites, and it's very secure. For people using .NET, Azure Cloud Services may be the best for you. Now for NoSQL databases, there is Firebase and MongoDB, which are both great options that offer a free tier when starting up, so you can use them both, then choose which one suits you. Now to explaining some words. Well, SQL basically means Structured Query Language, which is a language that helps users manage and query the data in their relational databases of choice. And query, what does query mean? It basically means requesting information from a database. A model, it is the structure of the database data. In the case of SQL databases, is the columns and the type of each one. For example, as you saw, user and user ID and stuff like that. Well, that does it for this video. I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to subscribe, as there is a lot of videos like this coming soon.